So let's start. Uh, Good morning, everyone. My name is Divyesh Srivastava. I work with FICCI as a research associate, and I want to welcome you to our new initiative, which is called IP Talks by FICCI. Okay. This new initiative is called IP Talks by FICCI, in which we are going to invite experts from the IP scenario, lawyers, in-house counsels, practitioners, academicians, to share their experience about the Indian IP regime and how they have established themselves in the position that they are, and what has been their journey, and what they think of the Indian IP scenario, and what they think of the current issues, opportunities, and challenges that the student or the stakeholder face. So, I would like to now invite our speaker today, Mr. Shaurish Shah, who has been practicing in trademark prosecution over the past 12 years. And I would rather invite him to give a brief about himself, and then we're going to start the question answer session. So this session is more likely to be like an interaction. It's not going to be a one-way thing. So if you remember, I had sent you a form, and I have received a lot of questions, a lot of maybe twice. We got oversubscribed more than twice. So I got a lot of questions, and we are going to ask the same questions. Some questions we shortlisted, and we are going to ask to the speaker. Okay, so let's start. Now, one thing I would like to request is that if you're not able to see or hear the video, and you can just restart it because it's just a network issue. Okay. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Divesh. Thank you. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, sir,
Hopefully
first of all,
everything
thank you so
is,
much for.
I think everyone is, yeah, thank you. And I think like everyone is working from their home offices.
Yes, yes, we're all working from home. Sir, thank you so much for taking time to be in this session. So, like I told you, we have already received some interesting questions from the students and the stakeholders, and then
Mhm.
so what we are going to do is I'll request you to share a brief about yourself, and then I'll be putting forward some questions to you, and hopefully
Okay,
encourage
Divesh.
discussion.
Okay, thank you. So as already has been told by Divesh, this is going to be an interactive session. So first thing as has been requested by Vicky is a bit brief introduction about myself. So I am Shaurisa. I am practicing as an IP attorney with a law firm which is called Alba Law Offices. I'm a principal associate over there, and majorly the kind of work that we get over here is mostly with respect to trademarks, copyrights, designs, some of the opinions we have to give, a bit of arbitration and all. I have completed my master's in intellectual property law from Queen Mary University of London. I completed my graduation from Symbiosis Law School, Pune. And yeah, here I am practicing since last, I would say, around 9 years in the field of intellectual property rights. And yes, it is a very dynamic, I would say, a dynamic field. And every now and then we see lots of changes. The major changes that we have been seeing in the field of IPR is, I would say, after the amendment of 2017 rules of the trademarks. It's not just like in the field of trademarks that we have seen changes. After this change, we have seen drastic like changes all over the world. Like even in field of patents, I would say there are draft patent rules right now, and yeah, I would say in the next few years, like in the few years to come, this field is again like going to have a geometric boom rather than an arithmetic progression. Yes, over to you, Devesh, we can do the question answer sessions now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, so starting with for the participants, I would also like you to know that sir is not just an IP lawyer; he's also been an academician. So, sir, would you like to tell us a little bit about your journey on how
Yeah,
you got to the place where you are? I mean, whether you had an idea uh, you're going to be where you are, 10 years below the line, or when you started.
sure, Devesh. So, as I said, I pursued my master's in intellectual property law from Queen Mary University. While I was a student there, I started looking for a job because if you are, as you say, if you are abroad, unless you get an experience, like first hand experience of what is going on in IP field, your experience is not complete. So I started applying as an intern in UK, and while I was applying, I got a chance to work with one of the like my mentors, I would say, Gary Mills. He was a partner in the law firm Innovate Legal, where I was working in UK. So it started as an academic discussion only because they had a conference. They had organized a conference at their law firm, and I was one of the students over there who participated there. Had a good interaction with them. Thereby, that was the main reason why I landed a internship at the first place with them. Thereafter, when I was an intern with them, they gave me an offer that after my internship period is complete, I can join them as an researcher and or a paralegal, I would say. So thereafter, while I was working there, I had to come back to India for some reasons. Thereby, I got an opportunity. There was a recruitment going on at National Law University of Patna. Thereby, I thought, why not give it a shot, because I was already in LLM, like doing LLM, and I pursued my masters over there. I was interested, quite inclined towards the academics. So thereby I got an opportunity to work as a lecturer in NLU Patna, where I was teaching insurance and intellectual property law. And when I was teaching there, I would say there were lots of interaction, lots of I would say like, because intellectual property law or trademark law or copyright, these fields are so dynamic in nature that every now and then, it goes overall change, or like even like some certain changes over the years, and it's growing. And when I was there, I thought, like, it's better to be in practice to take a gist of or to do a better judgment with the subject, because unless you are in practice, you don't understand, because these are some field. IP, I would say, is such a field that only theoretical knowledge is not enough. So owing to that factor, I started working as an attorney with a law firm. And I would say, and although I started working as an attorney, I have not left my touch with academics. I am always giving guest lectures or writing some article or presenting papers somewhere or the other, and being invited, thanks to FICCI. Like, I've been in touch with FICCI, and since 2018 I am in giving advice. And it's been a good experience overall, because being in academics and being in a profession, you get to learn a lot from overall aspects of intellectual property rights. Because as you see, being in academics, you don't really know, or you don't really understand, or even from the student's point of view, like, there are lots of things which is written in the trademark law, which says that whatever prescribed, or whatever fees is prescribed with, along with the form you have to file, along with that fees you have to file your trademark application. But it gets very unclear for students to read when they are reading the act, that what exactly is the timeline which is prescribed. How do we know what is the form where, say, everything is given in the act? However, for that you have to see the respective rules, which again I would say is a very dynamic thing, because Earlier, before 2017 trademark rules, we were we were using the 2002 rules. The guidelines were there, the forms were there. It has been drastically changed now. In 2017, there are only 8 forms now, and all the forms have been merged into it, so that it becomes very easy for people who are applying for their trademarks to understand what exactly is like how their registration process should move forward. Up to you, Devesh.
Great, great. So, sir, keeping taking this discussion forward, what would you say? How exactly does a person uh, actually become a trademark agent, and how can he practice? If I'm a student and I want to go into the trademark field,
Mhm.
how am I going to do that? How can I pursue it? What should
So
I
see,
start? What should I look forward to?
right, Devesh, although there are two things how you can practice as a trademark attorney. I would rather say that it is very important to go through the rules and understand what exactly is going on. Like, practice with I would say, or get yourself associated with some trademark attorney or firms that are working into trademark law. However, as I said, there are two ways of becoming, like trademark attorney. First is or practicing the field of trademarks is, the first one is you can be a trademark agent. The second one, you can be you can be an advocate, and then you can pursue trademark registrations, or you can be a trademark attorney that way. Now, for being a trademark agent, you don't have to necessarily be a lawyer. There are trademark agent examination that are undertaken by Center of Intellectual Public, IP India office, and you only have to be a graduate, a simple graduate. However, you need to know the inside out of trademark laws, trademark rules, the textbook, like the handbook of trademarks that is being published by the trademark office, Intellectual Property India office, I would say. The other one is you graduate as a lawyer, you start practicing with a trademark attorney, because otherwise you won't understand how to, like what are the intricacies of the trademark laws, which is going on right now. Because many a times you would see that certain objection is being raised by the trademark registry, which was with respect to the 2002 rules. However, these rules are redundant now, but if you are practicing with respect to 2017 rule, you won't understand what is being asked by the trademark registry. So it is
Right,
very
right.
important, it is very important to be associated with some lawyer who is practicing the field of IPR or trademark, I would say, in particularly. Also, if you are a student, I would say you can start, interning with some firms which practice in the field of IPR with, I would say, like, and also you can request them to give you an exposure of trademark registry. You can go for hearing, the physical hearing that takes place at Dwarka office, and in Delhi, I would say. In other places, like there are 5 registries all over India. One is in Mumbai, one is in Chennai, one in Calcutta, one is Ahmedabad, and last one, like which is in Delhi. So you can visit any of the offices. You can see the working pattern of these offices. You can or I would say you can also start looking at the website of Intellectual Property in India office. There is a branch of trademark in their website. You can scan all the knowledges. There are lots of free like reading materials or acts or rules, and everything is given over there. Handbook of trademark is given. Once, even if you read the handbook of trademark which is in their website, I would say you get a decent hang of the practice and the procedure of Indian trademark scenario. However, I would say, like all over the world, the registration, the main gist is the same all over the world. It's just that the codification is different. because whatever is being followed all the world, if at all you are a member of WIPO, I would say then you are following the TRIPS agreement.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. So, like you were talking about a person to start with a lawyer, start with a trademark attorney. So that's where the
Yes.
question comes in. You know, how does a person, how does a student who has no knowledge and he just
Mm,
explores the idea of going into trademark? So how does he do
mm.
his search? How does he find that this is the law firm that I want to go in, or this is the person, and these are the people who I should be associated with. So what do you recommend? How do you get about internships and career and looking forward to all these things?
Divish, as I said, you have to be associated with, a lawyer or attorney, I would say. There are like many, right now because of the internet, I would say like everything has become so easy that with a click of a button, you can search most of the things. I would say the first thing is you need to do a good research on the net, or there are many I would say websites which is I would say IP cricket, like not for internships, I would say for enhancing their knowledge. There are many sources of net internet sources that you can rely on. The first thing is be active on LinkedIn. By active, I don't mean to say you have to post something, but connect with as many IP professional you can on LinkedIn, so that many firms they do start posting vacancies on their website. Also there are blogs, multiple blogs which is there nowadays. They post internships or the vacancy for internships all over the India, that these are the internship vacancies available on different platforms. There are newsletters you can subscribe to. You can, again, you can, like as I said, in my case I attended a conference in UK and landed an internship. You can also very well do that same thing. The conferences that are taking place over like all over India, or webinar, I would say, you can connect with the attorneys over there. You can connect with IP professionals over there. You can drop a mail. You can research, like if you're asking where to intern, there are many law firms. You need to make a list of all the law firms. Like few good law firms in India, I would say, would be like searching the website of Remfra Sagar. KNS is there, Anand is there, Lalan Sethi is there, Singh and Associates is there, Singh and Singh is there, again Entel Advocate is there. You can connect with the HR of any of the firm. And obviously most of the time I feel like are very late in application. If they want an internship in June, they are applying in the end of May or applying in May. That there are high I would say like there are times when there is high influx of internship application. From my personal experience, I would say December, January, and June, July, and May are the time when we get the most of the applications. So, if you are planning to go for an internship in these months, I would say you should start up like applying at least 3 or 4 months in advance, because frankly speaking, right now my June and May slot for internship is already gone. Although I don't know what is happening or what is going to happen with this lockdown. I don't know even if they will be getting to intern at the moment, or rather the colleges would be open for them. I am like unsure. However, I had like at least 6 students confirmed for June in February only.
Okay, great. I mean, that's the same thing that happens with us also in Fiki. So we were supposed to have few interns starting from today, but unfortunately due to lockdown, they'll not be
Yeah.
able to start. So okay,
Mhm.
taking back my question. Okay, sir. So I'll just ask you, how important is it, if a person does not have access to these facilities, does not have access to any conference, or in an area which does not is not very much explored. Okay, if it's in a city that is
Hmm.
not very much, aware of what exactly IP as a career option means. So what do you recommend to
Hmm.
them? Because and of course the names of the firms that you listed are obviously big firms. So
Yep.
they get incentive applications in huge numbers, and of course every
Hmm.
firm has limited number of seats. So what do you say? Should we go? Should a student go for a top firm, or should we go for a middle-sized firm, or should we go for a startup firm? A small firm. So what do you think is better, or what should a student do in that case?
See, as I said, like you have to adopt a model which is not very conventional, like way of landing an internship opportunity. I would say again, with most of the firms, I would say because everything is being handled by HR, most of the times they don't even see the application which is being received by at their end, and also owing to like number of application that they get, it is it is very it is obvious, or it is, I would say, it may happen that your application is not being taken care of, or no one has seen their application. So landing an internship with the top firm is not very important. However, you can start with a middle or a startup firm. Then the best part is, like, for everything you have a pro and con, right? So working with a top tier law firm, yes, it goes looks really very good on your CV. But again, I would say, because it is so departmentalized, there are high probability that if you are working in a top tier firm, you will not know anything except for the objection that is being raised by the trademark registry. For example, if one law firm is there, they have divided their teams, one with respect to filing an application, one with respect to replying to the objection that is being raised by the trademark registry, the other one for attending the hearing of objection that is being raised by the trademark registry. Then there is a department which looks after the opposition proceedings of a trademark registry. Then again, like, see, there are lots of like, it is a big, it looks that it is just one subject trademark, but when you get into practice, it is a very wide field. So if you are working in a startup firm, then it is very important, like, it is pertinent to mention that you should start with a startup or middle tier firm, because and who don't have so many departmentalizations, so that you get a hang of all the I would say fields of trademark in one firm itself. So yes, get a hang of the working model of intellectual property or trademarks per se. Thereafter, I would say, if you have worked in some IP firm, then again it becomes easier for top firm also to call for internship at their firm. Thereafter, you can channelize your field in that way. So you start with a startup firm, you apply for a mid-tier firm, then you can proceed to bigger firms. For again, like searching for internship, there are many, I would say, a platform which is available there. Again, I would say there is IP Assisto, which has been recently launched by team of Knowledge Teas. You can search for the blog of Knowledge Teas for internship. There is Loctopus. There are, again, like again IPCAT, like, again, IPCAT would be for international internships. There are newsletters that are being given, or yeah, one Internshala also, which is there. Then Click Internship was there, if I'm not wrong. So these are various platforms that give you a fair idea of vacancies of different firms. And also, I would say, like, these are, although these are few blogs or I would say some media where you can search for internship. However, I would still believe in like a new way of communicating. So I generally prefer connecting with the law firms directly. So you drop a mail, you call their HR that I have given a mail on such and such date, hope you have received it. Just in case you have not they have not seen it, maybe if you give a follow-up call to them, they would look into that application of yours and may give you an internship. Also, in my experience, I would say like there are lots of time when there is last minute or last moment cancellation of students who don't turn up for internships. For example, if an internship of 10 students is due to start on 1st May, but out of those 10 students, 2 have not turned up, there is fairly high chances that you contact the HR on the first day, and you can interact with them whether if because of like students have not turned up, if you can fill in that spot. Then even like with me, I have seen like most of the time I have given last moment internships to those students who have followed up at the last moment, and because of some students who have not turned up, I have given an internship to them. So yes, that is also possible.
Okay, great, sir. So, a follow-up question on that: how important do you think for going out, if somebody wants to go in the trademark prosecution field, how important is the degree? Can they go straight away from being an LLB, or doing an LLM is important? And if doing an LLM is important, there also comes a factor whether you are doing it from India or abroad. Or so, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. So, see, an additional knowledge is always beneficial, because I've seen people who are a major in IPR. They do have like a fair idea of the objection that is being raised by the trademark registry. I won't say like because there are lots of students who don't have an IP background. Still, they are working with. We have got associates who are working wonderfully, even if they are not masters in or they are not LLM in IPR, or they did not have an honors degree in IPR in LLB. However, they are working wonderfully. It actually does not matter. However, as far as like employability is concerned, I would say it may have a bit of like 5 to 10% of a greater chance of landing an internship or a job than any other candidate, just because you have an additional knowledge of IPR. Also, if you want to pursue an LLM, see, my personal advice was like, because I pursued LLM at the time when there were like the world was going through a great economic depression on 2009 and 10 era. There was no job available. Also, the conversion rate of of currency rate was so less at that point of time. The pound was on like today's date, I would say the pound was cheaper than the dollar at that point of time, and that is why I decided to pursue an LLM, because that was the best time to, like, even I would say, I don't know what is the scenario which will where we would land in 1 or 2 months, but if at all, again, I would say, like, I think my personal opinion is 50% is that the world has again reached that great economic depression at the moment. So this is a good time. If I don't know, in 2-3 months, we would get a fair idea of what is the job scenario in India. I think it is going to be slow down also. So this would be the best time to pursue your LLM if you want to. Again, if you want to practice in India, I would say there is no need to go abroad unless you have a scholarship for somewhere, or your education is being taken care of by someone. Investing a lot in LLM from a university abroad, coming back and practice in India is not a good idea. because you would be with today's exchange rate, I think you would be investing anything around 25 to 30 lakhs in your LLM. And if you come back as a fresher, you will have to start again. Then if you compare with your batchmates, your batchmates would be 2 years ahead of you, because the session starts on September. Till next September you will be working, or you will be waiting for your results till December and January. Then by the time you are recruited, it is March, so you will waste 2 years. Your fellow students or your fellow batchmates would be 2 years ahead of you. So it would be better that you work in IP law firm over there, or in India, and by the time you can start pursuing LLM somewhere, you can work part time, you can do your internships, and yeah, if you have again, as I see, if you have about 2 years of experience and then LLM, that is absolutely okay. Because by the time you are about to enroll, or you want to start for your LLM, you will be working. So you will only waste around, or I won't say waste, you will only be around 11 to 12 months behind anyone else who started practicing with you. But again, I would say it is an additional knowledge. Once you started practicing in the field of IPR, and then you get into you start studying LLM, then again you have a fair idea of what is being taught. There is a fair idea of the research where you want to proceed with. So yeah, that is something which is advisable for students or some professionals who want to pursue career in IP.
Okay, okay, got it. So, following up on that, sir, so now that we see a lot of, in today's time, everything is going digital. Okay, so we see a lot of these courses coming up, who talk about which are for the benefit of students, these which are done
Hmm.
online, and like Vicky has one course, Vicky has
Hmm.
4 courses of that nature. There are some other people who are doing it. So, what according to you is the relevance of these courses coming up? Because they teach, obviously, they teach about specialization in a particular subject. Okay, so what according to you is the, and should a student, according to you, go for it? And what is it like? What are your thoughts on this?
See, it is very important actually. As I said, even if you have to land a job, or even if you have to land a offer from a foreign university, it is very important to show your CV is versatile. Now, like, it is not a time, or foreign universities don't just prefer a student who is only been in academics all throughout and has got no other experience, or has got no other things in CV to support their cause. So as I say, I was a mediocre student, but however, I had lots of different things or extracurricular activities going on throughout. Even and when I was in LLM, I used to be a part of sports team, used to be a part of conferences. I used to attend lots of conferences that used to go around in UK, in London particularly. Even now, even in India, even though I am in profession, I do attend lots of conferences, because it is very important, to keep yourself abreast with the latest developments which is going on in the around the world. So definitely these courses are something which is beneficial to students. These are not just to enhance your CV, but also to enhance your knowledge, because these courses have been designed in a way that it gives you an overall development of your profession, and what exactly is going on in the profession at the moment. However, even if it is not very much with respect to the practical scenario, it would definitely give you a hang of what exactly it means to be in the field of trademarks or IP or copyrights. Because see, as I said, these courses have been designed in such a way that it starts with very basic. and then it proceeds to further expertise in your knowledge in advanced courses, as I say. So if you just see the course that has been designed by WIPO also, or FICCI again, as you have rightly said, it starts with very basic. It starts with what exactly is IPR. Thereafter, it goes on to define how you can differentiate between different types of IPR. So I've seen like many students who have already through with their IP course, they come for internship, but they cannot differentiate, between what exactly is trademark and what exactly is copyright. So there are different things which has to be taken care of. So when you go through these courses, it becomes very easy for you, to differentiate between these facts of IP. And again, as I said, it definitely is beneficial for your overall, growth also.
Okay, thank you, sir. So let's now talk about the trademark regime and India. So first of all, we'd like to understand from you, what according to you, what is the status of Indian trademark regime currently right now in India? Is it in a positive way? Is it is it stagnant? And does it represent a lot of opportunities for the stakeholders or for the students, that for our audience here? So it all depends on the regime. How is the regime much
Right.
popular? How much trademarks are getting registered? What is the speed? So that according to that, person can. So what according to you is the current position of the trademark regime in India?
See, it is actually on a rise. It is on a boom, I would say. It is not just on a rise. As I said, as I have already discussed, the present IP and present trademark scenario is it's not just progressing on an arithmetic value. It is actually progressing on geometric progression. So just comparing like 10 years ago when I used to apply for internship, then the firms for IPR used to be very boutique firm or niche firms who used to practice only in the field of IPR. Even right now, top IP firm, as you say, Anand, Intel Advocare, I would say, or Lalin Sethi and other firms, they actually practice only IPR. But again, as I said, it is on a boom, and because of which all the firms actually are having one of the wings of IPV. So they have a team which deal into intellectual property. Within that intellectual property team, there are different other teams. One who work on trademark. Again, trademark is also further divided into many other teams. So I would say yes, there are like lots of firm which are coming, and major, you know, the factor that is affecting it is now, even with respect to because economically or GDP is growing, and so if we have a client who is associated with us, and they are getting their labor or employment matters, or I would say their IP matters, and real estate matters, it is pertinent uh, for them. It is very imperative for them uh, to get their work done in under one roof only. So if you have started, even like giving our example, even if you have started as a real estate firm, if there is a client who wants, apart from their real estate, they want their IP matters also to be done, now it is very important for a firm to have a IP wing now. And well, working on this model, I would say most of the firm have started an IP practice nowadays. And yes, if it is a bit bigger firm, then they have they have different branches of IP also. As I say, in our firm, real estate wing is different, and IP is again different team. So yes, I would say it is just looking into this field, or just looking into this scenario. I would say IP has trademark practice has grown multifold. And the other scenario that gives me a clear idea why IP is also expand, or trademark is expanding, is because nowadays even like a very small trader who has got a very startup, or who is a sole proprietor, is also getting registered his mark. I generally have seen there are lots of traders, if like even now they don't know how to get their trademark registered. So if someone is a shop owner, if someone is a a distributor, they don't get their trademarks registered, but now they are getting it registered. Also, the series of the application numbers that we used to get earlier, like in 2014 and 15, was we used to start with 2, and owing to the factor that it is a 6-digit application number, 7-digit application number, I would say it is like within few years we have crossed a crore of application, and now the application number is going to finish of 4 nines, 4 9 series. So from 2 lakhs to 200 lakhs to now 500 lakhs application which we have gotten in just 5 years, shows that around 300 to 400 percentage rise in trademark application is being received by trademark registry. These are just statistics, I would say, but again, statistics do speak a lot. Also, when we talk about the turnaround time that used to be there in an application. So if your application of a registration of a trademark did not met any objection or opposition, a straight application used to take at least 2 to 2.5 years to get registered before the 2017 regime. But now we are getting our trademarks registered within 5 months, like close to 5 months, I would say. So which is a very good turnaround time, because earlier after 5 to 6 months we used to get examination report. Now we are getting a registration certificate. So this is a very positive aspect and positive side that the Indian trademark registry has shown to us. And yes, because they definitely have to adapt to. Can you all hear me? Okay, so we will take another question if Divesh is not here. Divesh? I would say even I was interested in a few of the courses of FICCI, so it goes out of question like how credible it is. So if you want to learn, the courses that has been designed by FICCI is very good. Like it is out of question that there is no like credibility of of a course. So yes, any knowledge that you get from your good institution is really good. So again, like you have to see what are the things that are being discussed by in one particular course that you want to pursue. And if yes, like FICCI courses are designed in a very in nice and strategic way, as similar to WIPO, I would say. Again, WIPO is for everyone, like any professional can get into or do that course. Someone asked me, can someone work in UK law IPR firm? Yes, you can work. Again, yes, as a student, if you are going there, you see there are like their channels are very their recruitment process is very channelized. So if you want to pursue a internship in a law firm, then you have to apply for their vacation courses. We call it internship. They have a open slot of their vacation courses. So either in the month of June, July, or in the month of December or January, all the firms, they open their vacation schemes. You have to apply well in advance, at least 1 year in advance, for landing their internship. You can you can log into law.co.uk, and you can get a clear idea of the time when you have to submit your application, and how you have to submit application. Everything is mentioned over there. So yes, you need to do a good research. Obviously, as an intern, anyone can work. However, working there as a professional, you have to go for transfer scheme. You have to go for a qualified lawyers transfer scheme, which is called QLTS or LPC, which is lawyers in UK, or even in US. You have to clear that state bar exam where you want to practice. So it is very different. So you have to do a good research on where you want to practice, how you want to practice. If you want to practice in UK, then again, as a researcher or as a paralegal, you are free to work. As an in-house counsel, you don't need to have a degree also, but again, it becomes very difficult for them to give you a job unless you are working in that country. So if you think that sitting in India you will land a job in UK, it is very difficult. So yes, you have to go for a QLTS. You have to give a qualified lawyers. You have to transfer your degree from India to there, and then only you can practice in their country. Yes, Divish.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Divish. Now I can hear you.
Okay, fine. So, one more question that I wanted to ask, what exactly is the difference between person going for IP prosecution or person going from IP litigation? Are these two different things, or can a person do it simultaneously? So, what are your thoughts on this?
So as I discussed in like a few minutes ago, it depends on firm to firm, right? So as a sole IP professional, you can do anything which you want. So, or again, like as I said, if you are working in a big firm, then it is very difficult, because see, the partner of prosecution, the partner of opposition, and the partner of litigation are different. So interdepartmental transfers, or working in one partnership, and then working for litigation partner, or working in a litigation partner's team, and working for prosecution or opposition, becomes very difficult when you are joining a like tier 1 law firm. You attend to the office actions, you attend to the objection that is being raised by the trademark registry, you attend to the hearings with respect to the trademark registry, particularly with respect to the registration of the trademark. Thereafter, if you have opposed someone's trademark which is very similar to your trademark which you see, that is being taken care of by opposition department. If someone has opposed your mark from getting registered, then that is taken care of by opposition department. So these things you can do in a prosecution department also. Some firms do it. We do it because we are a startup firm, we do everything in under one roof only. So we do from prosecution to opposition and litigation. So it actually depends from firm to firm or the professional you are associated with. So even if there is a sole professional who is working as a trademark attorney, basically they over there you will be doing everything from getting a trademark, applying for a trademark registration to attending the hearing of office action. And also if you want to file a suit or you are contesting a mark or enforcing a mark, you have to do everything with that professional or a startup firm or a mid-tier firm. It is very difficult again in a bigger firms.